boy, I tell you, if I can just get out of town and get on the freeway, I think I'm going to be all right, y'all. I think everything is going to be just fine. Man, bumpity bump and turns and ruts in the road, and I've got here's a clue if you can see it, it was in the windows. Go back, rewind, check it out. A very precious piece of cargo in the back of the pickup. And they're actually a little bit tricky to transport. You wouldn't think they are, but if you've ever had to do it, not from a factory, if you've ever had to do it from a homemade type situation, you'll know what I'm talking about. See that baby back there, just a spinning, just a spinning. Remember that old John Anderson song, Swinging? Just a swinging on the old porch, If you don't know that song, go look it up. It's a good one. Hey, so man, boy, what am I talking about? I've searched high and low, up and down, in and out the last several weeks, and have had a terrible time finding a Detroit Series 60 engine to overhaul and rebuild, right? Got the new Peterbilt. I've been getting along okay with the X15, believe it or not. Well, you won't believe it. If you drive one, you won't believe it. You'll think I'm lying to you, but I'm not. I took a load of cattle with that Peterbilt from eastern Montana out to north central South Dakota and back to eastern Montana. 62,000 pound load of cattle in my triple axle. A little heavy, I know. And I averaged 6.12 miles per gallon. Now, with that, that's not just driving like you want, you guys. So much of fuel mileage is in how you drive. You hear these numbers that I throw out and you're like, that's a bunch of garbage. There's no way you're doing that. Well, there is a way, but it is in part through that kind of thing, through the engine and the, rear ends and all the specs that you put together on a truck. But more important than any of that is your driving habits. This is just like icing on the cake. This just allows you to really push it over the top, the right engine. But man, driving habits. I drove, let me tell you, if you have an X15 out there and you're driving a Cummins, I did not boost over 20 pounds ever, at all. And I kept my RPMs at 14.9 to 1600. I know they say that those X15s are supposed to be super low RPMs, but when I tried the low RPMs, I got horrible fuel mileage. So I bumped it up a little bit, and that's where I landed. I called 3 different pretty substantial Montana, Idaho wrecking yards, right? Truck parts yards. One of them I bought a Series 60 from previously, and they had nothing. He said, we just shipped like 6 of them down to Mexico to get done or something, or they must be buying and rebuilding them down there and putting them in trucks or something, which made me a little sad to think of these Series 60s going away from our roads. So I called another place. They didn't have anything. They didn't even have a block for me. Called Holst Truck Parts down in Yukon, Idaho, which is where old Rooster actually got Blue 2 from back in the day. They didn't have anything. Said they're just getting harder to find. You gotta, you find one, snatch it up type of thing. So I continue my search onto the old Facebook marketplace, and I found this one. So I hit the fella up, run an excavation and oil field type business over here in Dickinson. And he said, I've got this one, the one that's now in the back of my pickup. Said, I've got this thing. It was in a 1996 Kenworth T600 that I bought from a farmer. The farmer's had it for years and years and years, and he just used it during harvest time, which most farmers, that's about when they use their semis, right? He used it then. He said, I bought it, ran it. He goes, a year ago, I put a new head on it and I put new injectors in it. This year, it started using excessive oil, just burning too much oil. He goes, it's running. I took it out running, but it was really going through oil. That's the common effect of an engine being tired, right? It'll eventually get to where your engine is using a ton of oil, 4 or 5 gallons per oil change. 3 wouldn't be all that bad, but anyhow, he said that's why I pulled it out. I was gonna rebuild it, decided not to. Anyhow, That's the deal. In the end, ended up paying $4,000 for this thing, which I felt like was a pretty good shake. Now, the gamble is, okay, so check this out. The gamble is he didn't know any history on this engine other than he put a head on it, he put injectors in it. That's it. That farmer owned it for the last several years. I am hoping against hope that this engine has never been overhauled. And there's a good chance that it hasn't. That last 470, if you remember back with Jimmy Crack, that was a virgin engine. It had never been overhauled before. We pulled the liners out and they had 1990s, was it 97? Was that right? 96 or 97? If you remember that from the videos. Little date stamps in the liners when we pulled them. Being that this was on a farm for so long, probably wasn't overhauled. If it was overhauled, it's probably only been overhauled one time, right? So those are the things that I'm hoping for. We got to go get it to Joe. That's today's journey across from Dickinson. I got to get it down to Joe. I got to get it dropped off. If I have time, I got to go look at a cow trailer, and I got to get back because we have football practice at 4:30. I'll tell you, Western North Dakota been getting some rain, man. Look how green it is in the bottoms here. Tell you, I ain't been getting no rain in Montana. Man, when I zoom out, you see that little blur right there? I apologize for that, you guys. You have to just bear along with me. See, it kind of goes away when you zoom in to normal. So when you do widescreen. Anyway, these new iPhones, had this one for a while now, but if you just stare at them hard enough, long enough, and then let out like a scream, the screen will just crack. They are the most, look at that. There's a picture, huh? Wow. There's old Billings, that sign, you probably missed it. 318 miles. Specs on this particular motor, it is actually it's a 12.7 liter, and it is a 470 horsepower all-time, full-time engine. Now, I know you're thinking, boy, that's not a lot of horsepower, but let me tell you. So I have now dealt with, let's see, 1, 2, this would be number 4. So I've previously dealt with 3 of these Series 60 Detroits, right? 2 of them have been the good old 500 horsepower, factory setting. And one of them has been a 470 horse factory setting. The 470 horse engine is the one that is in Rob's truck, the red Kenworth that, remember old Slippin' Jimmy? Oh, Jimmy Crack, who, by the way, old Jimmy Jam, he is doing great out on the East Coast, just doing fantastic, if you were wondering. As far as what we've done to all these, it's been the same. I've put the manifold, the turbo, the programming from PDI, all into each one of these engines. And I feel, after driving all 3 of them substantially, that 470, for whatever reason, maybe it's just coincidence, but that 470 would, at the moment, probably win in a hill climb between the 3 of them. I mean, not by a ton. It's not like, wow, you're just running away from the rest of these, but it just feels a little more snappy. Okay, let's have a look here. See how the strappage did a little X-cross, right? Ones that hook to the front, pulling to the back, back to the front, bada bing, bada boom. It's getting a little side-to-side motion shifting on these boards just a touch, but not too bad. We were a little worried about the squat, wondering how it would squat that bed down, but not too bad. Old Chev's holding up pretty good for a 3/4 ton. Check it out. You recognize this road? This is the road to Joe. Joe's Road. The Josen Highway. The Highway of Josel. Yeah. Oh. She is. No harm. No issues, no nada, no nothing. She's gonna be good. Josel!
How was that ride?
It wasn't too bad. How's this ride coming along?
You don't even know what that's for.
Look at this guy with no beard. Is this for Gary?
No, that one's for Gary.
Look at this. You guys remember Gary from Alaska? Not the person, the ride. Joe decided to do a Cummins swap. You pirate. That's gonna be cool. That's gonna be cool. We gotta get this engine out of here and make way for the new one that's coming in. It's gonna sit right here. It's gonna be just right. No, what's this one out of?
That one's going in corn fed.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah.
Decided to build one now.
You do need some work so you can pay for all these engine builds.
That's right.
Get a paying job in here. As Joe likes to tease me about the old resident Coronado because it was here for so long. I wonder if he teases the owner of this guy about this truck just hanging around. It's been here for months. It was here for months before the Coronado showed up. It's been here for months after the Coronado left. So I don't want to hear anything about it anymore, Josel. I got her dropped off. Couple little things we're gonna have to. Couple little things. The ECM that's on it is the original. It is the original oldie from late 1995, 96, right? Yeah. I know. One. That's a good chance that if that ECM is original, I feel like that might mean that the engine is still original, but maybe it hasn't been overhauled before. Maybe this engine has got all factory original parts inside it still. That would be a positive, right? These engines can be rebuilt 3 or 4 times if you take care of them, if you run good coolant, and you're prudent and careful with your stuff. You can overhaul them many times. You just don't know until you get into it. Those liners will have a date stamp on them when we pull them out. If they're factory, they'll have a date stamp from Detroit in them. If they're not, probably won't have a date stamp. Anyway, so we'll see. Joe, he's got quite a bit going on there with a lot of engine work and stuff, but hopefully he can get it. There's a dog pooping on someone's mailbox. Hopefully Joe, he'll be able to get that apart. Things we're gonna watch for is what does it look like inside the block once we pull it out? Is there any corrosion, electrolysis going on in there? Hopefully not too much. There will be some, but hopefully nothing. We can't just patch up with a little Belzona and get smooth again. Be looking for the condition of that head. Guy that I bought it from seemed like a great guy, straightforward. He said it's a new head. I don't know how old it is, but he says it's a new head, right? New head, new injectors. So we'll see in that regard. We'll have Joe pull it off. He's going to pull the valve guides and stuff and see how things are looking on that end.